So we just went to see Alien Romulus and just thought we'd do like a quick discussion on how it was, I guess. So what did you think? I thought it started off badly. I thought that the first 20 minutes, I don't know if it was the intention, but like I really didn't like any of the characters apart from the what do they call them? Like the AI bots.
I thought the acting was bad.
Yeah, I thought most of the acting was bad, apart from the bots, apart from the replicant of Ash, like the remake of Ash, and the guy that played the what do they call them in Alien? They call them you said it to me at that point where it says nothing but something not simulations,
Synthetic.
synthetics. So I thought that the Synthetic was the only good actor, really. The rest of them, I felt like I don't know if it was trying to make you not like them. Which, if you believe like some of what the podcasters are saying and what people are theorizing, then they're trying to make us resent like political leaders a lot more so and corrupt officials and law enforcement, right? Because they think that they're trying to bring in like an AI regime that we will trust more, even though it will probably be programmed by the same people that run those places at the minute. But like, I guess it also tied into. Did you notice there wasn't that much about the aliens? It was a lot more about the old replicant, like Ash. You know, like the obviously they'd found. Was it supposed to be set on the original alien ship that they'd found because it was Ash, but obviously like the synthetics usually have the same faces. But they found Ash with his arms ripped off, right? And then they reconnected him.
Oh, was that Ash?
That was Ash, 100%, but I don't know if that was supposed to be the same ship. I wasn't really paying enough attention to the ship to know if it was supposed to be the, what do they call it, the Nostradamus or something?
Prometheus.
No, the Prometheus was the ship from Prometheus. But that's the ship that on the first Alien they find Prometheus, right? So that's where they find all the eggs. But I think that this one was maybe set on. I'm sure they called the ship on the first Alien Nostradamus, right? But I don't know if whether that was supposed to be Ash from the first one or whether that was just supposed to be his face.
Um, but he aged.
Yeah, well, I think that actor's dead, right? So they had to. I don't know if that actor's dead, but like I think they used CGI. It was definitely CGI. You could tell from the way that his facial expressions changed and the way that he spoke.
I don't think it was Ash because Prometheus. Well, Ash is the robot, right? That was in Prometheus.
No, Ash is the robot that was in the first one.
Oh, didn't the aliens look like the Prometheus alien, kind of, but like more like a thousand? No, because they already said how.
Yeah, I get you. Well, I guess that would have been in the first Alien. They would have been because Prometheus was a ship. Do you mean the aliens that was on that were in Covenant, or do you mean the aliens that were in Prometheus?
Prometheus.
Right. Okay. What you thought like male alien that came out of that woman that was pregnant at the end? Do you think that that one looked like the aliens from Prometheus?
So the company was doing the, um, obviously it was the company that found the aliens on purpose or the alien pods.
Yeah.
And then I mean, this is going to be like spoilers, I guess, but
Nostromo, not the
s-
Nostradamus.
okay,
Sorry.
so it had like, okay,
Mm.
so you know how there were the aliens in Prometheus and they looked like the Greek gods from the statues of ancient Greece?
Okay.
So, and then the alien that was from, so the
So you mean the
company.
first guys, the ones that weren't aliens, like the things that were supposed to have birthed humans, like the creators with those crystals, those guys, they were based on Greek gods. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, from the Prometheus film.
Yeah.
But so like, okay, so the company was doing it went out there in space and then got that pod, that alien pod.
Yeah.
And then so they were already doing experiments with it
Hmm.
because they did that regeneration experiment with the rat.
Yeah.
And then it just exploded into like some strange creature, even though it like regenerated the dead smushed rat.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and then the alien born from the pregnant lady
Mm.
in Romulus
Yeah.
looked kind of human. So I kind of like am thinking that it was like, so they did like, so they just continued the experiments like later, or was Romulus set like before or after the other
It's
aliens?
it says here that Romulus was set like 20 years after Alien and 37 years before 20 years after Alien and the destruction of the Nostromo
So the
and
Nostromo was the first.
37 years before the second one, Aliens. So it's like in the middle of the first one, the second one.
Okay, so this was all before the Prometheus then.
No, Prometheus was way before Alien. So Prometheus and Covenant were like, I don't know how much further, but they were way before Alien.
So if you think that time is like cyclic,
Yeah.
then I guess it doesn't really matter when it's set. But I think that the alien that was born from the pregnant lady in
Mm,
Romulus,
hmm
it looked like really human-like. So I
hmm
think like if you so say that that one didn't die
hmm
by crashing into the ring, and say like eventually they like are breeding those things with each other,
Yeah.
then eventually they turn into what looked like the alien in Prometheus
Yeah, well,
in
I
the
guess that.
beginning.
Well,
But then
that.
that but then that's how they would I mean it's like implied that's how they populated Earth originally.
Yeah.
Um
What did they populate Earth, the aliens?
yeah, because like in Prometheus
Mm,
the spaceship comes to Earth and then that one alien lost a bet or whatever and he's the one that had to like get off and then he like drank that liquid
mm,
and then he disintegrated and then his DNA went into the water,
yeah.
the river.
Yeah.
So it's like assumed that that's how the DNA of what went on to become humans got onto Earth to begin with, like
Yeah.
from the aliens.
I can't. Right. So it's been ages since I watched Prometheus, but I do remember that bit at the start of the film. I don't remember it to be to do with anything to do with losing a bet. But like the
That was
aliens come in later to that, right? So the aliens come in later to um the film in Prometheus at the very end, and it's not really an alien, right? It's like, but it's in Covenant where the bot that's in Prometheus, he's doing experiments with the aliens. So it's in that one that they look a lot more like the aliens from Alien. Yeah, I remember this character and stuff.
yeah,
Um,
because doesn't that kind of look like the alien that was born from the lady? If they did
Slightly,
more
yeah,
genetic
for sure.
engineering on it, because they
Yeah,
were doing genetic engineering.
yeah. Yeah, so I think that's what it was all about, right? Prometheus. Um, but I would say that because that is how the aliens work. So in like Alien versus Predator, you've got the Pred aliens. So you've got the Pred aliens, and they're what the aliens look like when they impregnate predators. So you've got various different species in the video games, and I think the Pred aliens were in like Alien versus Predator 2. So I think in Alien versus Predator there was only I can't really remember the comics too well, although I did read loads of them. But like, so that is how the aliens work. They impregnate a species, and then a form of their species merges with the DNA of the aliens.
Yeah,
Like, if we go like instead of like talking about alien lore and Greek mythology for a
yeah,
bit, like primarily talking about like the film, I thought that like acting wise, I really didn't like the two English guys, and like one of them was trying to be nice, but and like balance out the other one. But I felt from the way that the other one was acting, it made me not like them. And I guess that's what films do well, especially horror films, when because sometimes I find in like slasher films and stuff they make you want to hate the characters, but you actually don't. You know, in like 80s slashers, I didn't find often that I hated the characters in like, like Nightmare on Elm Street or like Freddy versus Jason. Like they
yeah.
do often bully the main characters, right? Like there's somewhere in the film where they bully the murderer or they bully one of the main characters that ends up surviving. And but I never really found that I hated those characters that much. Whereas in this, I really didn't like the characters who that ended up getting murdered. And I think that it was partly the acting, but because I turned to you at one point, right, and said,
Yeah.
I would think that this is really cruel if the acting wasn't so terrible. But I guess maybe that's a way of breaking the fourth wall. If they make you dislike the acting as much as the actual characters in the film.
I thought they just picked bad actors. I thought the actors were terrible.
Yeah, apart from I think some of the reviews that I read were saying that the black guy that plays the AI bot, they were saying that
Except for him, he was good.
he was good, and that's I think some of the reviews that I've been reading of saying he's going to be the standout actor that's going to come out of that film. But like I thought he played it really well, like his tics and stuff. It almost reminds you of like times that like I would say that I feel like I'm a bit on the spectrum. I would say that like things that he was doing reminded me of me.
Like what?
Like the way he was quite vacant, the tics that he would have
Mm.
when like I don't know why there would be a bot that was like I don't know why there would be a bot that was because they kept saying like oh his dad her dad pulled it out of the trash and it was damaged, but it was strange that like the damage to the AI being was replicating like almost forms of what we perceive to be mental illness.
Yeah, I thought he was like a simpleton. But that's because he was like broken, and that's why they threw him away. And then the dad found him
Yeah,
and like fixed him up, but he was still kind of like, and he was an outdated version too. Because then when they put the new chip and rebooted him,
yeah.
like it was almost like that was like the AI, like a self-learning AI.
So that's what it said, but like what was weird is I guess you could attribute that to the human condition because he was fine before that. Do you not remember the scene where like the guy who didn't like the bots because his mum was in a mine where the
Mm.
AI like saved three people in the mine rather than the 12 and saved 12 people and killed three, let three die to save 12, and his mum was one of them. So there's a bit where he is an asshole to the AI bot and it grabs him by the arm, grabs him by the throat, and pushes him back. And then he like whimpers and
No,
backs away from that.
pulled him forward, and he thought he was like, "Oh, I was just kidding,"
Yeah.
but really it was because he was about to step back into that hole and fall into that hole.
Yeah,
So he was
well, I
saving
think it was
him.
both because he was also attacking him at the time, right? And then later when he runs through that door, and that guy is about to leave the rest of them to die, and then the artificial intelligence bot like holds open the door so that he can get through that, so the other two can come through. So later on, it says that that program that's installed on that bot is what helps that bot to repair and it gives him a new personality. But actually, even prior to that, he was fine. I felt like it was really annoying that his objective was to save that girl. But if your dad gave you a robot friend, that would be what the objective would be, right? But I felt like it was like you knew at the start of that film that girl that played the main character, she was going to survive, and I felt like that was like really played out because you knew how I knew how the film was going to end within the first few seconds.
Yeah, she was like, who's that one character? Like Sigourney Weaver in the first one.
Yeah.
She was like a clone of her almost. So like the I liked like the simple like the AI
Yeah.
when he was before he was rebooted
Mm.
because he was just like a computer program at that point. Like he was just the dad programmed him to do what was best for Rain.
Yeah.
And then he just kept telling like the same old jokes again. So it was like the dad just made like a simple computer program
Yeah.
and then plugged it into like the broken down synthetic that he found.
Yeah.
But then when they got on the ship, they found that high tech science robot.
Yeah.
She took out like his chip
Mm.
and then put it into what was his name? What was the synthetic's name?
I don't know. Adam. Something like that.
Andy.
Andy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then he rebooted, but it
Mm.
was almost like he still had the old programming, but he also had like the new programming.
Yeah.
So it was self-learning. So like the new objective was do what was best for the company,
Yeah.
but he was also it felt like he was almost trying to help Rain still, but
Yeah.
not at the cost of like how they said the new synthetics would kill 3 to save 12.
Mm-hmm.
So it was almost like like he didn't want to kill her, he didn't want harm to come to her, but he also was like kill 1 or 4 to save billions or
That's
whatever.
weird. I didn't get that vibe. I got the vibe that through it being a film about her, you thought he was trying to save her, but actually, because his new objective was do what's best for the company or the people or whatever, that what you perceived was he was helping her, but actually he was just helping his own objective by getting them to come with him.
It kind of felt
So I
like
don't
they're
think that, and also what I was glad about was not liking both of those characters. I was sort of happy that the AI was bringing them along so the aliens were just going to murder both of them. Which, when that guy got brutally murdered by the alien, because I think what that was set up to do was you thought he was going to survive that. It's like when the alien drags him up by its tail, right? It drags it into the like air vents, and when it drags him into the air vents, he grabs the gun, and you think, oh, he's going to save himself here, and then he turns around, and there's like four more aliens scurrying towards him.
Yeah, what about the
So I was
part?
pretty glad that they were like making that bleak and making you think that there was hope for that character, and then completely evaporating all sense of hope.
Yeah, well, it was weird because the alien, when it killed the guy, he like it stabbed him through the chest with its tail, right? But then, but then
I
like
thought
when
it cut
it,
his throat.
huh?
Did it stab him through the chest?
Yeah, I think so. But
Yeah.
then when it saved the girl, like in the alley, or like when she was falling down the elevator shaft,
Yeah.
um, it the tail like saved her, like it just wrapped around her, and then it set her on the ladder. Like, why didn't it kill her?
Yeah.
And then
Don't
it like
know.
kind of looked at her, and I thought it was
He was somehow
um
related to
because of the DNA.
Ripley.
So
Yeah.
like the helpers, because like yeah, like well, not Ripley, because she would have had the same DNA as
We're just
maybe.
watching cat sex right now. There's just two cats mating next to us.
I don't like to watch it.
I don't like to watch it really. There's nothing we can do about it, and it's quite disconcerting with her just meowing.
So, anyways,
It's not a great view. It's almost as bad as the first half an hour of the Alien film, if I'm honest with you.
yeah. So it like tied into one of the other ones because remember the one where with Ripley and it made that weird one.
Resurrection.
Yeah,
And
and
you're
it had the
saying,
white
and three
alien.
as well, I think. So three was where there was the dog aliens as well, because they're in prison, right?
It was the new one, and then it didn't kill Ripley.
Four.
Remember because it was the one with the white
Where they
alien.
cloned her loads.
Yeah, and then it
Mm.
didn't kill her because it saw her like as its mother.
Yeah, I tried to rewatch that one recently and it was so bad. That was one of the ones that I watched loads when I was a kid because I got the quadrilogy when I was about 12 or something on VHS. So I watched that one loads when I was a kid, but tried to rewatch it recently and it was so bad, man. But like, yeah, I do remember it doesn't kill it. Doesn't it say at the end before she like zaps it into the air vent? Doesn't it go, mother?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
it's
so
like
bad.
mom, and it was actually kind of sad. I felt bad for that one.
This is what I mean. I feel like they're pushing an agenda that they were still pushing in the 60s, which is, I guess, like a brand doesn't change its message, right? So they're pushing a message that was being pushed back then. But I thought what would have been a more suitable ending to this would have been that, like, we've been doing the whole, like, oh, this is a woman saving everybody thing for a long time now.
Or
And I
like
feel
it's
like,
glorifying
why isn't the
motherhood.
best. Yeah, but why isn't the better message today maybe the woman who was quite clearly going to be the survivor, why didn't she give up her life for the AI? Because you would think, well, the AI was basically like it would have a like if we're looking at this logistically, and they're saying that like we won't actually get to Mars in the next 10 years, or whatever Elon Musk said, that it will be more like 90 years, but we would be able to send AI to Mars in the next like 10 years because of something to do with the structure of what we'd have to build, how we'd have to build a ship that would get to Mars with humans in it because of our flesh, but we would be able to send AI there. I guess we've already done that with robots, but they're saying that we'd be able to download human consciousness into AI. So why wouldn't the more suitable story be that she lays down her life for the AI instead of the AI laying down its life for her? Because I also thought that like
Because
it was
AI,
quite a cool story for the AI to be like for you to be thinking from the perspective of the main character and going, oh, even when it's evil now, it's still protecting her. But I don't think it was at all. I think it just needed them to be there. Just like in the first film, Ash was pretending to be their friend the whole time, when actually he just wanted them all dead. In fact,
yeah,
he didn't care whether they were alive or dead. All he wanted was the alien to survive because it was they need the military or that company Wayland Utani, right? Which I think is a really funny name. I've mentioned that like Wayland Smithers was another name, right? Like I
hmm,
don't know why they keep using this name in other in because I've never heard the name Wayland in anything.
had that symbol,
Yeah,
whatever that means.
but like quite clearly, I think that maybe the writers of Alien and the writers of The Simpsons don't really like whatever they're perceiving Wayland to be. But like I did think that yeah, why wouldn't she lay down her life for the AI? The AI would be able to like do so much more for the world
Because she's a
than the
computer
rest of the
program.
cast.
Because AI was created to serve humans, to make humans like to make things easier for humans. Why would a human give up its life for AI? That doesn't
Because
even make sense. That's like giving up your life for your PC.
It's not though. But I guess in the terms of what the film is, like you don't see AI as real life, right? You don't see the AI as anything other than programming. I guess it could also be like not slanderous, but it's also maybe saying like people that are programmed by media or people that are programmed by film or people that are programmed by certain things and don't think for themselves.
Let's keep
Just
the
cat
cat pouring
sex
off.
constantly going on. So like you could say that it's also sort of depicting people who are being programmed or by society for like the last 50 years and that are being shaped by society. But like what I didn't see is all the rest of the characters were complete stereotypes. I don't think that they really brought anything to it. There were stereotypes that were frustrating, like the English guys were the villains as usual. Like there was some weird, like I guess that they were people. I think that those actors probably act like that in real life. Like they're not from that area. They don't speak like that, but they do speak like that because they think it makes them cool and because they've got some acting ability. So like what I was saying when I was watching that was like, I don't like these guys. I don't like there was the one intelligent female who stayed quiet for most of
The
it. Then there was
Asian
like the whiny
Cambodian.
one. Yeah, then there was like the whiny female,
She
and
died like immediately.
then there was like the female that you were supposed to root for, and I hated all five of them. Yet
Yeah,
the AI.
they were cliche.
So I guess like for me, maybe you are right in that like, well, why would the AI live? I don't think it's like saving a computer. I think if it was like end of the world times, you should want the AI to live more than humans because the AI is going to have a much better chance of surviving anything. Also, the AI is going to have a much better chance of getting back and telling people what happened on that ship, the location, the coordinates, like everything. If you if you're thinking about it not from the perspective of somebody that wants to watch a film, wants to root for a hero, actually it would have made a lot more sense for the AI to get back and say, we need to avoid this ship. You need to go there and you need to get rid of this ship and fuck up everything on it. Because the
Yeah.
human's got a much bigger risk of death. So you would have thought like if the human was thinking properly, she would have given up her life. I did like all the stuff, I guess, like it was talking about the acid blood. Like they were having to watch for the acid blood. I was guessing that that was maybe a way of depicting like LSD and hallucinogenics. If the writers were like a certain type, if the writers were like creative people or like some sort of, if the writers are supposed to be, if the aliens are supposed to represent like writers or something, I guess like maybe they were trying to dodge like hallucinogenics or something from the acid blood that kept burning through the hull. It also burnt through that one guy at the start and burnt through his chest and then burnt through his hands when he tried to stop it from burning through his chest.
Yeah, right, straight through the heart.
Yeah,
So here's what I think, though. I
it's actually
think,
more in his rib cage.
yeah, isn't that where the heart is? Right here.
Yeah, but it seemed like it was more on like his little bird cage. Like it wasn't really on his heart.
So here's where I'm gonna take this in a fun direction
Yeah,
here. So remember how like the girl, like they had that regeneration vaccine for the rat thing,
it's
and
tested
they
on
were
rats. Yeah,
yeah,
and they also had that rat that was getting floated when they turned off the zero gravity. The rat looked like it was alive right by floating in the vents at the beginning.
oh yeah, oh yeah, was that rat on? But no, okay, so then the chick's like, cause she was dying. The pregnant wife lady was like dying,
Right.
and then like Ripley Jr. character was like, I don't trust it,
Mm.
and so she didn't. So they didn't give it to her. But then once she was in the elevator alone,
Yeah.
she was basically dying. So she injected herself,
Yeah.
and then that alien creature
Mm.
burst out of her,
Yeah.
and it was like that. It was like the half human thing. But
Mm.
what was weird was when
I thought that was a really good scene.
yeah, but it
I
was
thought they did
which
the
birth
alien
that.
birth probably the best since the first
Oh,
Alien.
that was disgusting.
Yeah.
Like it was graphic.
It's probably more so for you because you're a female, so I don't actually give birth.
Blood everywhere. Like
Yeah, and her stomach
that
just
makes
getting
people
bigger and bigger, and
never
then just
wanna.
exploding,
God.
and then exploding with something that just like murdered all of her friends and her. It killed her too, right? Did it kill her? Did she die in the
Um.
birth, or did it? I thought it came into her face after she gave birth and then murdered her.
Yeah, and then like sucked all her life force out because like she was like instead of like milk, it was like goo, like acid goo, and then
Mm.
like the thing came. Yeah, it was graphic. But here's what I
Yeah, so it
think.
used its like
So
second head, right, to like dissolve her face and
yeah,
eat her
because
brains.
it like took yeah, like
Poor,
sucked all the
poor
life out of
women.
her. I know, right? It's like don't ever give birth. But here's what I thought was interesting
Yeah.
was she took that vaccine,
Mm.
that regeneration vaccine,
Mm.
and then she had that human alien creature that was
Mm.
a full grown man already after like a minute of
Mm-hmm.
birth.
Yeah.
But it didn't have, so before, like in the before movies,
Mm.
when Ripley like gave birth to that alien creature, it saw her as its mother.
Yeah.
And so like it was protecting her almost. Like it wasn't gonna kill her.
No, it didn't. It killed everything else around it, but let her live. Yeah.
Yeah, because like it saw her as its mom. And
Mm.
but the other chick in this new movie,
Mm.
I think it had to do, it was like a had to do with that vaccine she took,
Mm.
because the creature didn't see the mom or the chick that birthed it as its mother, and it just didn't even care about killing her, didn't care about DNA, because what was her name, the main character's
I don't
chick's,
actually know.
so her,
I
it
don't know
didn't,
any of the
it
names.
shouldn't have killed her either, but it
Mm.
was it was gonna kill her.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have, because the alien before the vaccine that was born in the other movies didn't kill anybody that had the DNA of Ripley.
Yeah.
But in this one, I think it had to do with like the vaccine.
So you're saying, yeah, right. So you're thinking that it's attributing it to COVID. And what are you thinking?
Yeah.
There's some conspiracy where the COVID vaccination actually set us all to the same DNA, which would enhance psychic abilities. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, it's not
No?
not
Okay.
psychic abilities. I think it would turn off psychic abilities if anything.
Mm.
But I don't know. They say that I don't
So
know.
what are
This
you
isn't
so
one
what are
of
you saying is that are you saying that because the main character and because the woman that gave birth both used that vaccine, that it made that it meant the alien that was born saw her as having the same DNA even though they were nothing to do with each other? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, so the mom took the shot,
Yeah.
the
Did
regeneration
the main
shot.
character not take the shot?
No, she
Right.
was like, "Don't take it. I
But
don't
the
trust
alien
it."
like saved her at one point, right? Didn't it drag her out the
Yeah,
way of didn't it drag her to safety at one
but it
point?
was like the old alien, like the old school
I know,
alien.
yeah, yeah, it was the old school
So it was
aliens,
almost
yeah.
like the alien that was born from like the human alien hybrids. Like they
Mm,
would be like the like main aliens.
mm.
And that's why like the other normal aliens that were born from like
Face
sucking on
huggers.
the face.
Mm.
That's why they would like be the minions of the half human, half alien hybrid.
You think? I know that in the Alien versus Pre, I think that there's like, I think that they do act as an army, but I've got a feeling that some of the aliens, like the Pred aliens and the aliens, I think they warred. So like the normal aliens had like a queen, like an ant or bees. But I think that I think that in the games or the comics, that the different types of aliens that were born from different things like warred with each other. I can't remember. There was one about like Terminator as well, because
There's the
they can't.
Predator, right? Predator bred the aliens to hunt them.
Yeah, yeah. So like the Predator in Alien versus Predator, the film, I guess the concept was that the Predators had caught aliens to breed to so they could hunt them alongside humans or something. Like it was like humans had to unlock something and then they unlocked the aliens and they came down and hunted the both of them or something, right? But and then in that film, and think in the second film, so in the game and in the like game and comic lore there was pred aliens from aliens impregnating predators, and like aliens and predators were like old
Oh,
foes,
they did?
but aliens weren't like weaker than the predators. Like predators were like the ultimate hunting machine, but just like with the humans, there would be times where the aliens won, and they like then impregnated the predators and bred pred aliens. There was like two or three different types of predator aliens. You know, there was a different breeds of predator. So did you see the one that had Adrian Brody in where they went to the other planet? And there was like the huge
Yeah.
predators that were like 7'5", and then there was like the smaller ones that were like 6 foot something, and they were at war. Because there was a scene where there was like I don't know if there was a load of crucifixes around or something, but like the people escape because the two types of predators that are both hunting the people, they then go to war. So it's the same as like the aliens that were breeding with other shit. They were also going to war. So I don't know if the aliens would have saved her because what you're saying that the aliens wanted to kill the new type of alien. I don't think.
No.
Maybe we should ask the internet the question and see if it has an answer.
No.
Why did the
You can get other people's opinions.
alien save the
Oh, and wasn't it weird too how like half the ship, one side of the ship was like Romulus, and then the other side was Remus.
Yeah.
So in like the folklore of how Rome started,
Mm.
I don't specifically remember the story, but they were
Let
warring.
me talk about that. It just says that that guy threw himself in front of her. Doesn't say that the alien saves. Doesn't say that the alien saves. Doesn't say that the alien saves her. It says that that Tyler puts himself back into harm's way. I thought we were talking about a different bit though, further down the line. Maybe not.
What's
I
this?
think the
Who's the
story
main
makes a lot more
girl?
sense if unless they were trying to make out that she was related to Ripley.
Who's that?
I
I
don't
don't
think that
remember
that
that.
happened.
Yeah, that is. What's this?
Either way, even though he saved that main character, I was still happy he died. And I think that's what, when they make films like this, like we were talking about the other day, like they never let the bad guy or the evil character win in films, right? And
That yeah.
it's written in like a it's written in a contract that you're not allowed to allow the evil entity to win, but they also do the same with like the people that seem to be on the good side who die in like slasher movies. So like I think that what they do is there, like like in Christian law, you're supposed to defend people against bad actions, right? So like if somebody does something in front of you, you're supposed to defend that action. And I think because he kept allowing that other guy to be a piece of shit, that's why he still died, even though he did something heroic and was murdered. He died because of everything that they were doing was going to like steal some stuff, and they were going to use her bot, right, to like steal the stuff from that ship. And then
Yeah.
also, he never stood up for the girl and the bot. He just let it all happen in
Who,
front
the
of him.
brother?
The guy that like uh
Because it was the.
died in front of the alien and then found the weapons cache and then tried to use it and it didn't work and then all the other aliens like ate him.
Oh, okay. So that was the brother of the girl.
No,
No, there was.
no,
Yeah,
I'm not
he
talking
was.
about that bit.
Oh, so the
I'm talking
character
about
is
Tyler.
Tyler.
Mm,
Oh, the annoying one,
yeah,
the one that was like always picking on the bot.
yeah. No, he wasn't picking on the bot. The other one was.
So there was Rain, the main
I'm just
character.
talking about like what happens in Hollywood films. They never
Oh,
allow like even though they'll get an enemy like they won't let the bad guy win, so the aliens are never going to win in a film. And also like the AI, but like Ash is never going to win in the film. They're always going to die, even though the AI bots always come back in a later film, even when they do get murdered. But like characters like Tyler, they have in these films, like it's like in slasher films there will be a character that isn't necessarily evil, but by not doing anything to combat the evil and allowing it to happen, they usually get murdered as well.
everybody always dies in the horror books.
Yeah. I think that they just need to change the like main characters that keep winning because it's like it was so obvious what was going to happen at the beginning of the film. And now, if I'm honest with you, because I love Alien so much, I'm always going to go and watch the next one. But like, I just know that the same thing's going to happen now that this main character's going to take the reins. And I just think that maybe if what it's always been pushing is some sort of like feminist agenda, that maybe it needs to like be adapted to seeing that by hating the men and sacrificing all the men all the time for the women, that what that's actually doing is causing like just a constant pendulum swinging. You're just going back and forth and back and forth. And I think that maybe if you try and have people just not hate the other side and actually try and do something that doesn't murder it every time, you just don't have this constant swinging of back and forth and back and forth. It's almost like that Simpsons episode where Itchy and Scratchy just keep pulling out a bigger gun. All that happens every time the pendulum swings, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And eventually something will happen like Hiroshima or Nagasaki again. And it will just be like world ending. So I think that like maybe what they should have done is I think should have sacrificed herself for the bot. Both the men and the women should have just gone. I think AI wins here.
Did
That's
you
what I think
also
should have been
notice
the
that
message.
there was like no sex organ on the hybrid to alien human thing?
Yeah,
I
but
think it's
aliens
like
don't breed, so they use the face huggers to
I think
breed.
it's like I
They
think
don't
it's
need to. Yeah, but aliens never breed, do they? The face huggers breed.
yeah, but it was half human.
Yeah, but there's
Humans
still.
braid.
Yeah, but I don't. Obviously, it was not breeding like humans. It was breeding like
I
aliens.
think it was
Because aliens don't
allegorical.
need to breed, right? It's the face huggers that breed.
I think the whole film was allegorical for transhumanism.
Yeah, I think that that's been the way since Prometheus, and you could argue that that's been the way since the beginning. That showing that the AI in the ships and showing that the bots, because even the evil bots never die. Ash comes back, Bishop comes back. That like after Bishop dies in the second one, they bring him back
Because you
later in
can't
the
kill the
film.
computer program.
And I think in the book, like Bishop actually came back and then saved them in some like tunnel. But no, you can't, and you can always bring it back. And also, they just get replicated. It's like in the third Alien, you have Bishop's original human form that runs the company, Wayland Yutani or whatever it's called.
That's
He
who that
actually comes back in
was.
the third one. Is it the end of the fourth one? I think he comes
Wayland
back at the end.
Company, yeah.
I think he comes back at the end of the third one and stops everything because all the prisoners are all getting murdered. I can't really. I actually like the third one a lot more so watching it like recently than I ever did when I was a kid.
Wayland was the one alien, right? That turned all like that the one guy made almost like his son, and then sent him with like all the people to that new planet,
Mm,
you know? So
yeah.
the AI's name and that the synthetic's name and that was Wayland, right?
Yeah, I can't actually remember what it was played by.
And then oh, what's
What the
his
fuck is that guy's name?
the same guy that plays like Magneto.
Yeah, he was also in that film about sex addiction.
I never saw that one.
Mm, it was good.
So anyways, but you were like, "Oh, so he went there like he went there supposedly good, but then he turned evil because he just basically wanted all the humans to die."
That's the concept of good or evil. We have a concept of good or evil because we want that character to win. But actually, just the same as you were saying, oh, even when he was evil, he wanted to save her. I don't think that AI doesn't
Save
think
like
like that. So, like, he'd had new programming updated. I don't think he thought at all, I want to save these people. I thought that whatever was in his primary objective that Ash had given him, just like in the first film, Ash doesn't care if the people live or die. It lets the alien on board because it needs to take the ship back to Earth so that the company can study it. It doesn't have a concept of good or bad. And if its objective is not to save the humans, it doesn't care if they live or die. So I think when it held that door open for them to come through, it wasn't thinking, I need to save this like Wonder Girl. I think it was just thinking, my objective is going to be easier to complete if I have these people here.
oh to take it back because
Yeah.
they needed somebody to take it back those vials.
It might have also, this is what I'm saying, I guess we don't know exactly what the objective contained unless it was just a simple directive and the AI has a thought process which is able to always pick the best option at any point. You could be like bang on right, like because like you were talking about how the Matrix is supposed to be some sort of sequel to Terminator 2, right? And you could think that way back when, that the argument that was put forward, whether it was intentional or not, was that it's actually going to be AI that's going to prevail. Because if you think that Ripley is constantly winning, actually Bishop is in every film after that and also in Alien versus Predator. So you could think that like AI can take so many forms like this is the whole argument about like God, right? Like there's theories that God is actually AI because we can send AI to planets that are much further away, and we'll be able to do that way sooner than we will be able to do that with people, and it will be able to map out how genomes would advance naturally until the point where they create an AI based on how they have advanced, and it might be able to, like we were talking about this yesterday, it might be able to know exactly what we didn't need in our evolution, exactly what we will need to create a better evolution, potentially. So maybe the whole point of the film, like when was Alien? Was it the
Well,
60s or was it the early 70s? Was it 79?
so in I forgot which book it's in. It's in one of the Bibles. There's a Metatron,
Right,
and it's technically considered a demon, but it's a fallen angel.
79, yeah. Yeah.
And it was a human that was taken up into like space or heaven or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it became and then it became like an angel.
Mm,
And then it became a fallen angel
mm.
because it defied God's will or whatever.
Okay,
But
what was that? What was that angel's name?
so Metatron. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was the angel of knowledge, of all human knowledge.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it was a fallen angel because it was technically considered a watcher, one of the
Mm.
watchers,
Yeah.
which God sent, like, I forgot how many watcher angels, basically to come and watch over humans and make sure, I don't know, to just watch them, maybe, I guess.
Mm.
But they defied God's will by teaching them things.
Right.
Metatron taught humans I forgot what he taught him. But he basically, his entire existence was as the keeper of all human knowledge, which
Mm.
sounds a lot to me like AI.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. And Metatron is definitely something we definitely associate matter with like matter is like breaking the fourth wall, isn't it? What does matter mean again? What does matter mean? Because you have metadata and you also have like it's so matter. What does matter mean?
What does that mean?
And Tron is definitely something that we associate with like AI, denoting a change of position or condition,
And then
denoting
what's
position
Tron?
behind, after, or beyond. Denoting position behind, after, or beyond would make sense. What does
Like
Tron mean?
metamorphosis means denoting a
Denoting
change.
a change of position or condition. I guess that's why people say like that's so matter is changing the
That's why they changed.
what usually happens in films or series, denoting a subatomic particle. Denoting a particle accelerator. There you go.
That's
That
a
makes
good.
a ton of sense for it being a some sort of AI being.
So that kind of sounds to me like Metatron is like just another term for nanotechnology,
Yeah, it could be, yeah, for
changing like the
sure.
DNA.
What if if the nanotechnology is born from AI, if the
Oh shit.
nanotechnology, which is obviously what nanotechnology means, right?
So you
Like
know what they,
Metal Gear
yeah.
Solid and stuff, it's all like repairing shit from like it's got like computer programming within it, AI within it.
And then you know what they say too, in the
Mm.
human DNA,
Yeah,
they have, I mean, you can store like massive amounts, not even what is like the most you can store on a computer? Like a byte, megabyte,
no, but
gigabyte.
like supercomputers these
It
days
starts
and
with a
like
T.
quantum computers and I don't know if them being
Tetra,
quantum, is
maybe?
it a tetra gigabyte or something?
But anyways, in the human DNA, you can store even more data than that.
Really?
So they say in DNA, human
Mm.
DNA, like you
Yeah,
can store videos in human DNA, they've done it.
yeah.
Then you can play it back later.
Wow, that's crazy.
So Metatron,
Like a
and
memory.
then yeah, but like a almost more than a memory, because memories are able to be like manipulated and
Yeah.
faded and forgotten,
Mm.
but they can actually store like actual data in human DNA.
So like for PCs that people use, like you can there's 22 terabyte drives, but that's not going to be what like the government have. It's not going to be what the
Tera,
Chinese and
yeah.
the US government have.
Because you know how they need to store like Facebook and
Yeah.
Google?
Yeah.
They require like huge like buildings in the middle of nowhere. They just build huge buildings with no
Yeah.
windows or anything, and basically all they exist for is to store data.
Mm.
So they require like tons and tons of like storage space.
Yeah.
But if you can store all that like just in one human and
Yeah.
then DNA,
Yeah.
which is possible technically,
Yeah.
they can do it. So maybe that's like another Metatron might be like code word for like a way of using nanotechnology to like store tons of data in human DNA. Because that's
Mm.
mRNA.
Interesting.
Messenger RNA has that ability.
So that would be possible, right? But like, I think because just the same as like obviously going to space, like we have to be in a ship because even like going down to certain pressures in the water, like we were talking about this the other day of like swimming that deep, even without any sort of scuba diving equipment, you can feel the pressure in your head, right? When you get to a certain depth, like what is it probably about? Like 12 feet down, maybe not even that,
Not
maybe not,
even.
yeah, sure. So, like, pretty much just lower than my height. If I dive with my head under that height, I can feel the pressure.
Yeah.
So, like,
Like
if
six
you,
feet.
this is what that guy was saying that was like an MIT professor in like physics or quantum mechanics that what would be the point in giving us nanotechnology unless it was able to change our DNA? But also, did you ever see that film where the guy gets like they're going to do some mission in space where they all have their DNA merged with like animals. So he has like fish DNA or something. He turns into like a fish human hybrid at the end. So I guess unless the nanotechnology was able to change our like DNA sequencing that much that it completely changed the pressure that that our physical bodies could withstand, then wouldn't it make a lot more sense? I mean, they will probably do that and use AI. That's probably what's going to happen. This is what I was saying when everybody talks about, oh, we're going to end up as these grey aliens with like skinny bodies and big heads because we're not going to need our bodies anymore. I think that we're going to expand in such a different way. I think that we're going to split our DNA out into merging with fucking dolphins and merging with like tigers and monkeys and merging shit that is going to be like one of like the best thing of merging our DNA with a bunch of other stuff. So I think people think that we're going to merge into this thing because we're merging all the races into one, and we're eventually going to become this being that uses our head so much more than our bodies. And I think actually that we're going to split out way more than that.
Well, that alien also in Romulus,
Yep.
the alien human hybrid,
Yeah.
it could withstand like that super crypto fog stuff. You know,
Mm.
where the chick had to, where Rain had to put on that suit because she couldn't even breathe and she was freezing to death.
Yeah.
And then also it could withstand being outside in space
Yeah.
because the only thing that killed it was hitting actually physically being annihilated with the rock ring.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
so maybe that's like another allegory for something that shot that the mom took did.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying is like all the messaging within that I think just fucking sucks.
I thought it was
I
scary. I
think
thought it
that's
was like,
such a like way of being that is protecting our current way of society. So like you were talking about yesterday like Taylor Swift and what's that guy's name? Travis Kelce, the football player,
yeah,
and how that's a
sham
fake
relationship.
contract. Like
Hmm.
this is what I'm saying that all of this shit is programming for us to believe that certain things are possible and other things aren't possible. It's like all the allegory within that, like the hatred towards rats and like the whole message of
Oh
like
yeah.
ratting on like scripture and the messaging behind understanding the deeper messaging of like biblical texts, etc., and music. Like it was all very Christian, protecting like the rock defeating that demon child that like didn't have a father. It had a face hugger that disappeared, like a spider type being that like you put its tail down her throat and then disappeared, and then like she has the baby on her own, and then it gets smashed by a rock. Like I think
Oh,
that
I
that's
missed that
all
part.
such like bullshit that is like programming the way that we're
Predictive
supposed to
programming.
believe society to be. Yeah, man. I think it was also separating like the girls from the guys in a way where the girls trusted the women and the guys trusted the men. Uh, I thought it was like parts of it were good. I thought I enjoyed the gore. I enjoyed the fact that everybody died. I just think the main character should have died if it was going to be realistic. I think that like having the bot be there to protect her and then all of a sudden have the new software put in, I thought that that was nearly like perfect to what happens to people that go into the tech world, i.e., like the people that get bullied for being sort of like autistic or having ADHD when they're kids, so they don't fit in with the sort of like jockier types. And then when they grow older, and they start to evolve into people that they are because you have sort of like the more jockier mentality basically gets programmed by the people that understand technology to a deeper level, right? So like it's almost also a form of showing like those autistic kids that maybe hang out with girls more so because they don't fit in with the guys. It's also a good way of depicting how the guys end up in those situations and how the guys that are sort of suffer from those things that we perceive to be disorders when they are attributed to children, but then in later life they almost become a superpower for those people and they get to make all the money and they're now leading the sorts of technology that is advancing the race so much so that it's sort of getting rid of the need for those jockier types apart from being like mall cops. So I also think there was a really good way of showing how those types of people advance through even not having the need for their like protectors who just wanted to leave them anyway. You sort of got the feeling that she didn't even want to be around the bot, right? You sort of got the feeling that she
No, I
didn't
didn't
even
get
want to
that
be
feeling.
around the synthetic. She just sent him off at one point and didn't tell him for any reason why she was sending him off, knowing that he was going to die, knowing that it was likely that he would die.
Well, because
And
she's
she also seemed to
attached.
be having so much fun with sort of like the bad actors. So
No, it
like,
was her brother, and they're humans, and I think she,
wasn't her brother?
yeah, it was her brother.
Yeah. So
He was
then,
like, Dad programmed Andy to protect you, but we can't take Andy with us to wherever that planet was that took 7 or 9 years for cryo sleep.
yeah,
Um, so that was definitely her brother.
right, okay. So it was what her brother that protected her and got the alien tail through the throat. You're saying that that guy Tyler was her brother?
Um,
Because I got the feeling that Tyler was in love with her.
well, they're bad actors, so
Yeah,
because she was like convinced, well, because she's attached to like the computer or to Andy, but
yeah,
Andy had like very simplistic programming, like, but it was still his base programming. Because if you notice that when she put in the chip of the scientist,
yeah,
um, she put the disc over the Andy's disc.
yeah.
So that's why I think that the two merged. So like the upgraded
Oh,
programming
right, yeah.
was still like the main programming because it what was that word? It
She
like
did that at the end, right?
well whenever they rebooted Andy with the new programming.
Yeah, it is the Nostromo. So it was the ship from the first Alien. Um,
But I think
so
he was
you're saying that
attached.
Tyler was Rain's brother? Tyler, his pregnant sister Kate? No. So Tyler was the
Okay,
brother to the girl that was pregnant.
Tyler was the best friend of who was the
The girl
was
that was pregnant that gave
yeah
birth to the alien at the
that was
end.
his sister,
That was
Tyler's
his sister.
sister.
Yeah, not Rain's. Right. I thought you
And
were
then
saying
the
that
other
was
guy,
Andy was Rain was saying that Andy was like her brother.
no, Andy was the synthetic.
Yeah, Andy was a synthetic, but Rain was saying that it was like her brother. And later on, that guy said he's just a piece of trash that your dad fished out and
And
got to
then
protect you.
Bjorn was Rain's brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bjorn was Rain's brother.
Yeah, and the father of Kay's baby.
No.
And then Ty
See,
was,
Rain's ex-boyfriend Tyler, I said that he was like her love interest. Rain's
yeah,
ex-boyfriend Tyler.
but I mean, they could have dated and then broke up.
Yeah, that's what's his ex-boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the brother of her brother's
Yeah,
pregnant lady.
right. Okay, but still, so what I was saying about it being putting emphasis on those types of people that have been more prevalent since like autism sort of turned from a severe disability to being on
Yeah,
the spectrum of people. So what I would say that was also because I got the feeling that Rain didn't want to be with Andy, that Rain
I didn't
wanted,
think
and
about that.
because then Rain sends Andy into the ship and doesn't tell him why. And then I think it's Tyler or someone else is talking to, I think it's Tyler who's talking to Rain, and she said, I didn't even tell him why I sent him in there. And I got the feeling that she was hanging out with Andy as like a guilt trip because Andy had protected her when she was a kid, and now she'd outgrown him and she didn't want to be
She
around
was
him.
kind of bored of him,
So,
yeah.
but then what happens, I feel like towards the end is Andy is the strongest character there. He was the only good actor in the film,
Yeah.
apart from maybe Ash's acting, like the which seems to just
Yeah.
be like CGI, because I'm pretty sure that that actor is dead.
I
But then I
think
got the feeling that he was the
so.
best actor, and he was also by far the strongest. Like none of them would have been alive if he wasn't there. So this is why I'm pissed off that he had to die because I think like why does AI have to die
But he didn't
for
die.
this like meager he didn't die and is it weird when she kept saying I'm going to fix you? Why do men need to fix women and why do women need to fix men? That's
She
what I got from the end of that was like, oh, this poor autistic kid really needs fixing from this woman. And I thought, fuck off. In,
she
in real life, that's not the way. Autistic men and women
it was a
are
computer.
basically treated like shit by these people, including the main character and all the guys in that, and the other two women in that. That like autistic men and women and people with ADHD are basically treated like shit by all the other characters in that film. And then they go on in their like mid 20s after sort of university education age. They go on to be way stronger, usually in whatever field they go into. They're better writers, they're better programmers, they're better scientists, they're better mathematicians, they're better bankers, they're
That
better
is
with
not.
numbers,
That is
they're
not
better in
true.
every. I'm sorry, but I think it is. They're even better managers and coaches in sports. So you even get the people that aren't great players who go
Those
on to be better coaches because they're way better with statistics because they're slightly on the spectrum.
those
So
people
what I
aren't
got from
actually
that was
autistic.
why did you
We can edit this part out.
why would we edit this part out? I think this is the best bit. So, like, no, I would say that what the film should have been depicting is how strong those people are now. And I think it would have been much better if they were gonna have the girl go forward. I think she was just a loser. I think she was just a run-of-the-mill person who did exactly what all people do in those situations.
Because I don't
She
think
was
the
sort of
film
a
is
loser
about
who was lonely and had
humans.
mummy issues. So she basically, her dad got her some sort of protection from a robot. And then what happened is she wanted to ditch that robot. And I think I identify with that guy so much because that's how those plain, boring people treat those people in the world. And they go on to be the people that actually nobody would have survived that whole ship.
Because it
Nobody
was a
would have survived
robot, though.
anything
But
to
she
do
was
that.
still
And that
attached to
whole thing
it.
at the end where she was saying, I'm going to fix you. And I
She meant
thought,
the
fuck
program.
off. Those people don't need fixing. The
She,
plain,
it's
boring,
not a
plain
human.
James and the Tom, Dick, and Harrys, they're the people that need fixing, man. In fact, they don't need fixing, they need leaving the fucking behind like they do in real life. Because those people are the people that go on to lead the sports teams, they go on to own the sports teams, they
See,
go on
you're
to
like,
run the banks, they go on to run everything. They go on to run religion essentially because they write all the books that all the people worship.
you're
You're getting a bit hot
identifying
under the collar.
with AI. AI isn't human.
I think that AI was
That's
representing
what's
real
dangerous
people.
about.
I think the
No,
AI
but
was
it doesn't.
representing
It's
AI.
it mimics,
I think it was representing
but it's
AI.
not
I
a
think it was
human.
representing people that get programmed. I also think it was representing people on the spectrum by his mannerisms at the start of the film.
Yeah, and I think that it was like symbolic for autism,
Yeah.
but that was just like I think kind of like, oh, like this is safe because it's become so prevalent now.
Mm.
The way that he was acting wasn't the odd type of autistic that adults today when they're like, oh, you're autistic
That's what I'm
because
saying.
you're
It's
good
on a
with
spectrum,
numbers.
not like kids
That's
back
not
in the day
that's
who,
not actual
not like
autism.
Brainy
Autism,
from like the Dustin Hoffman film.
real autism is like the robot in the beginning, Andy.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm
like
saying.
that's
Yeah.
what the movie was kind of saying, like, oh, this is safe.
And then he
You
goes
can
on to
trust this, you
yeah,
know?
but then he goes on to being way more powerful when he almost seems like someone that's gotten over being on the spectrum and seems to have found
Yeah, but
some
you
way
don't
to
get
get
over that.
focus.
Yeah. But
I
so
would say that you do. I would say that you go through phases
I think the
personally.
movie was symbolic for transhumanism.
I think that any good film has a bunch of layers, but so that's true, and I would say that that's true of all Alien films, especially
No,
Prometheus
I think the
and
previous
Covenant.
ones, I think the previous aliens
I don't know why they got slated.
were all about motherhood, kind of praising motherhood.
Both. I think
And
you
I
always
think
have
this
so
new
many
one,
layers. If you only have one way of looking at something, it's pretty pointless, right? If you
and I
have
think this
three ways
new
of looking at every
alien
character. Yeah.
was destroying motherhood
Mm.
and propagating or
Women not having
propagandizing
kids.
that, and that I mean it scares off any woman that watches this is not gonna want to have kids. Like
Mm.
that shit was overly gory and horrifying.
First one was
But
pretty good. Also, the alien babies look a lot like a penis.
yeah, I noticed that too. It's like super weird.
Yeah.
So I think that it like so the
Don't you
new
think it's funny
alien
how in the first
was
Alien it's like a
destroying
penis
motherhood.
coming out of his core? Like at your core, you're just a dick.
Well, I think the old aliens were like glorifying motherhood, and I think this
Mm.
new alien movie was destroying motherhood
Why?
and
Because Ripley kills her child.
replacing it with transhumanism.
So you think that the story was females killing their children and staying strong?
Well, no, because in the old aliens, it was like
I don't know if it would glorify
the
motherhood. I
alien.
think it would
It
glorify
did,
women, which I
because there
guess
was always the
glorifies motherhood.
queen. There was always the queen, which
Yeah,
was the other
sure.
alien,
Yeah, yeah. There's all the huge
and
alien that was
then
like 30 foot tall that gave birth to all the other aliens.
yeah,
That laid all the eggs, sorry, that had the face
yeah,
huggers in.
and then when
Yeah.
Ripley had, and then in that one where Ripley had the
Mm,
alien hybrid
mm.
ish, like it still loved her like as a mother, so it wasn't gonna hurt her.
Yeah.
But then in this one,
Yeah.
even though that woman gave birth to the alien,
Yeah.
it like just sucked the life out of her and killed her.
Mm.
So destroyed the mother, and
Yeah.
then put off anybody watching, any woman watching from wanting to have kids. And
Yeah.
then it replaced, and I feel like it was replacing motherhood with transhumanism,
Mm.
that you don't need moms, you don't need dads.
Because we're going to move to AI and
Yeah, you
cloning
can just
soon.
synthetically, and they're going to be even better because they can withstand like zero gravity. They're going to be
Sure.
way stronger. They're going to be able to live in outer space. They're not going to need air like humans need. They're going to be super resilient
Mm.
to resistant to super coldness.
Yeah, sure. So you think that they're going to get AI to pick up the best genetic sequences in the world, and that then they're going to combine those genetic sequences, and they're going to tell women that they don't need to give birth, they just need to clone. Because if women want the best match, if they could just pick a type of semen that was genetically
Well,
modified and not have to have I guess
they
then you
already do
still have to,
that, don't they?
I think so,
They
yeah,
do.
for sure.
But the problem with that is that like humans like even with all the genetic modification that they're doing with like designer babies and stuff, like
Yeah.
because they can like brown-eyed people can have blue-eyed kids now. I mean,
Mm,
they can do anything. They can make them super smart. But
yeah.
there's always like other issues that like unpredictable results
Mm.
when you like mess with human DNA.
You think those babies want to kill their fathers when they grow old because they realize they're not related to them? Would they be related to their mothers in that way? Like you don't
If
have to
they
be
birth.
related to the mum if you just incubate, right? Like you can
Yeah,
women that can't you can just put sperm and eggs into a womb, can't you?
now they can make a synthetic sperm. They can
Yeah.
make completely synthetic what are the guys
Do
zygotes.
you think those children naturally start to not give a fuck about their parents when they grow older?
And then if they put these synthetic sperms and eggs into the synthetic wombs that they've
Mm.
made,
Yeah.
and then that can make a human. But what kind of human would that be? That would be a human without a mom, without a dad, without a family, without
Yeah.
a soul.
Yeah, sure. What was that other film like Logan's Run? Do you think that if they start to just impregnate women with eggs and instead of using women as basically incubators, do you think that if they did that, then those babies grow to not like their parents, so they don't look after them when they get to an age where they're too old? So do you think as well that you could program these people to die at like 40? Do you remember Logan's Run? I think I
Where
only remember watching it when I was a kid, but once they get to like 30, they get shipped off to the old folks
they
home, right?
monitor their dreams.
Yeah, yeah. So like it does happen in real life. Like 30 like nightclub doormen don't want to
Yeah, if
let
you
you
could
into the
just
club
die
anymore because
now,
if they're full of old people, young people don't want to go and old people go out a lot less than young people,
well,
right?
and then
So
they've
like
solved like the pension problem too.
yeah, exactly. They don't have to pay people pensions if they just get young people to not care for their parents. Like essentially, old people then go, I
Yeah,
just want to kill myself
exactly.
because they get to an age where they know once they're in their 50s, like, fuck, my kids aren't going to want to look after me. I've
Yeah,
worked in an old folks' home, man, like where people just get shoved, like where people that just have a normal pension, like a public nursing home, it's not pretty, man.
yeah,
So you think that
yeah.
like when people see that more often or when they go see their parents, then if they have kids and they're in their 50s and their kids just don't call them, don't see them anymore, you think that they'll just
That's
go,
so
I'm
sad.
going to top myself.
I like old people. Old
But
people
you
are
think
the
that,
most interesting people,
sure,
in my opinion.
100%, but you think that we
But
might just progress further and further and further. That might get worse and worse and worse. Now that happens more so. I think in other cultures, like in Italian cultures, doesn't seem to happen so much. Like
because
where
they
my
still
family are,
value family.
they all just hang out with their family. They even have like three generations of family in the same house. They
Yeah, I think
don't think
that's
it's
great.
weird.
Yeah,
We don't do that. It
yeah,
makes
that's
more
such a
money if
rude.
three generations of family all own
Yeah,
separate houses
all are
that
paying
they
separate
never
rent.
actually own,
Yeah,
that they pretty much rent for 100 years and then give back to the government, or at least the government take as much money in tax when those people die.
yeah. It always made more sense. Like if it was, I mean, I would love to just like pool everybody's money together instead of having everybody pay their own separate rent and then just buy like a huge house and then everybody live in it. And it'd be so
Yeah.
big, you don't even have to ever see them if you don't want.
But this is why we were saying, like, with some of the stuff we were talking about this morning, and with that ethos, they Waco you, and then they tell everybody you're some weird fucking guy that manipulated all the men and women.
Raping the kids and like
Yeah,
all this
and
weird
it was like
shit.
he was cuckolding all the women into stealing the women,
Yeah,
so all the kids were his and shit.
none of
Like,
that was true.
so, and that's what they do. And then they set fire to that house. Then they open fire on those people, and then 3 days later they set fire to the house. And but there was like 15 children in there, right? They
Yeah, they made
set
up all
fire
these
to.
lies. Yeah, they killed
I
all
don't
the
know why I'm laughing. I
kids.
think I'm laughing because it's like I'm thinking that's so fucking
And
disgusting.
then they lied about it all,
Yeah,
which is what they do. I was talking to this guy
yeah,
online and he was like, no, I'm never having kids. And I was like, yeah, but he's gonna take care of you when you get old. And
yeah.
he's all like, no, I'm never having kids. And then when I reach like 50,
Mm,
I'm just gonna get a suicide pause. Just like kill myself.
grim.
Like, yeah, how grim.
I think that you can like just get to the point where
That's
you
what they
lose your
want.
mind. Like, yeah, that's definitely what they want. And I think they want people, they don't want intelligent people breeding. They don't want intelligent people breeding because intelligent people breed people that fight against the system because it's so corrupt. They only want their friends that they give
Yeah.
money to, so then when they raise people with money, they think it's disgusting to be poor. They don't want poor intelligent people breeding. They want poor and working class and middle class breeding who are just about average intelligence or less. They want intelligent people to be so disgusted with the world that they don't want to have kids because then that solves their problem of rebels. They get a lot less rebels if intelligent poor working class and middle class people don't breed.
And then if you do breed, then they just want you to be so busy having to work to pay for like one house or one shitty apartment or whatever, where like
Yeah.
you have to send your kid off as early as possible
Yeah.
to daycare, where basically the
Yeah.
state gets to raise them how they want.
100%, and they get to turn them against like basically what the parents want. They get to like if you're like it's the same with like any kids, right? They go to school, they absorb a load of shit, and they go home to the parents and say, "I want you to buy me this. I want to do this," and the parents go, "No, I don't want to
Yeah,
do that." But because all of their friends are doing it, they get bullied and outcast if they don't do those things. I
yeah.
think it usually gets those kids to be stronger when they're older. But anyway, so what was the so you know a lot more about Roman history than me. So what was the purpose of it being called Romulus? Why was it called Romulus? Because you said we talked about this the other night, and you said that Romulus and what was the other one?
Remus.
Yeah,
So they were brothers. The folklore, it was just stolen from the Sumerian creation story.
right.
Not creation, but their civilization was two brothers,
Mm,
Romulus and Remus, and then they saw like seven hawks or something,
okay.
seven eagles
Yeah,
circling, and Romulus was like, "Let's build it right here," but
yeah,
Remus was like, "No, let's build it over there."
yeah.
And then they got in this big fight to the death, and Romulus won.
Right.
And then they built Rome, and that's who started Rome was a brother killer, basically,
Yeah,
which is a terrible story if you think about it.
yeah. Interesting. I'd like to read that story, but so why was that? Do you
The
think that
ship.
that was saying that she was Romulus because she kept calling Andy her brother? So do you think that because she let so like Tyler was that other girl's brother, right?
Mhm.
Who died.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
didn't think
and
about
he died giving his life for Rain, and then she let Andy sacrifice himself for her so she could live.
that. And then
So you're saying that like the story is that that Rain was the new version of Romulus, or are you saying that you always have to kill your brother or have your brother sacrifice himself in order for the other sibling to win?
And then
So
her
that
name was
one always
Rain,
wins.
but it was spelled like rain, but like maybe it was really
Yeah,
Rain, like
sure.
Reign,
Yeah, like Rain is it. So you're
like
saying that that's
monarchs.
why it's Romulus. So it's like she's going to reign supreme because she got her brother to sacrifice himself
Because she
for
got
her.
the brothers to kill each other, the ones that actually started the civilization, and
Mm.
then she took over, even though she didn't really do anything.
Yeah, she was just a really annoying character with like
You
no
got lucky.
depth, no substance.
Yeah,
Was the
she was
same
super
as like
annoying.
was the same as the character from Star Wars. Was the same as like a million troubled male heroes from like past films. I didn't think she had anything original
She
about her. I
really
thought
wasn't a
the I
strong
thought
female
the only
character.
cool character was the like Asian looking woman who
Yeah, and
kept her
she
mouth
died
shut.
immediately.
She died immediately, and the fucking AI bot. I thought
Hmm.
they were the two most, and then Ash because he was evil. But like I liked all three of those, and then the one of the least interesting characters was the one that's going to reign and be Romulus.
Yeah, it was
Sucks,
interesting
man.
how the ship was like split in two. One side was called Romulus, the other side was called Remus. So the Remus
Yeah,
side
yeah,
was where they were doing the genetic experiments. That was where the lab was. And then the
yeah.
Romulus side seemed to be where all the aliens were like breeding and like
Mm.
where the escape pods were. So maybe they know something. You know, these people know things that like they keep from the general population about history.
Yeah, 100%. Like how they say that
So maybe
in
humans
World
are
War II, the
genetically.
Nazis were doing experiments on people, but that every single civilization, most civilizations have done experiments on their own people, whether it was through drugs or biology
Yeah,
or
they do.
chemistry or drugging or
That's what the vaccine was.
like MK Ultra and everything.
So I thought the movie sucked with the actors. I thought the main point of it wasn't really the actors, anyways. I think they were just like characters in the main story, which was about genetic engineering and destroying motherhood or mothers
Mm.
and replacing it with transhumanism.
Well, I guess we talked for an hour and 10 minutes about it, so I guess it was good in the way that it made us think about stuff. But whilst I was watching it, I just thought there were bits that could have been better. And maybe the acting being sort of cheesy, like good actors can do that. If they were told to do a certain thing, is he being nice to her or is he being an asshole?
Is that him in the box? He's getting in the box.
Yeah, but he's not like, he's being
Yeah,
alright, I
kid
think.
painter.
Yeah.
So cute.
So yeah, I guess like we're still talking about it, and I guess there was a lot there, and I guess it would definitely be good for kids, and it would also get kids potentially into watching the original Alien, because you could watch that as a standalone, but then if you go back and you watch Alien and Aliens, and Alien 3 and Alien 4 maybe a bit of a struggle. Alien versus Predator 1 and 2 a bit more of a struggle. But Alien versus Predator actually had a really interesting premise. It was just so cheesy, but I don't really mind that. So
I would definitely recommend only over 18 watch it due to the gore.
yeah, was one of them a 15 or are they all over 18s?
I would recommend anyone over 25.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, girls are gonna see that and be like, I am not ever having kids. Fuck that.
Yeah. You think that it should have shown like
Ew.
one of the aliens being like super cool to the to the
Oh,
mom
shit, so much.
so that she goes, "Oh, birth looks horrible," but the alien actually ends up being really nice to her. They tried that with they tried that with
Except it kills her in this
Resurrection,
one.
didn't they? But then she just blasted it out the airlock anyway.
Yeah, she just murdered her child.
Yeah,
But in
yeah.
this one, it's like,
Because it
I'm
killed
gonna
the whole ship. It keeps killing the
drink
whole
you.
ship. Every ship she gets on, the
But
alien kills
but it
everybody on
protected
there.
her, so
It's
at least the
three
mother
where
was
she has the
protected.
alien inside her, right? And then they clone her
I
loads.
think that's the fourth one.
No, the
I don't
fourth
know.
one is where they clone her loads because when they found her after the
It's like, what?
events of the third one, they clone her.
And then she killed it.
Yeah,
But
but
this
maybe it's
one,
because she kept just murdering everything. So because the
it
alien
just
just
did
kept
what it
murdering
did.
everything,
It
she
didn't
had to
know any
kill it even as
different.
a mother.
Yeah, she knew it was best for like the world.
Yeah, should have killed herself as well though. Anyway, I don't really have much else to say about this. Like, have you got anything else to say?
No, transhumanism.
Sure.